Heidi ho, one and all. Welcome to another edition of Top 10 Worst of Lists, the most respected worst of list in the entire worst of list diaspora. Coming to you now for nearly 4 months on a daily basis, almost, kind of. And what a pleasure it is to be able to bring you today's list. It's going to be a terpsichore ride through a blissful, immersive Valhalla. It's top 10 worst product placement movies. Now, this is a subject that really gets my goat. Really grinds my gears. My gears are grinded down to the nub. And I'm not a big fan of the nub. And neither is anyone else. The nub is out of fashion. It's passé. Not considered polite in many social circles. The nub is not. But it's going to make a devil-may-care list, I'm telling you. Good stuff. Hot soup. Anywho, before we get to that, just a couple of things. I want to make sure that, you and I were simpatico. We're vibing. Yeah. On number one, I am 99% of my screws are loose. Not just one screw loose. Like most people, they say, that guy's got a screw loose. I've got 99% of my screws are all loose. I tried to tighten one the other day. I did a pretty good job on it. That's what took me down to 99% screw looses. It was 100. So anywho, I want to do good by you. I want to bring. I have one goal in life, and that's to create the most immersive, expansive, all-inclusive top 10 worst of list. Is that such a rotten thing to aspire towards? I don't think so. But I'll tell you, we don't live in a perfect world. And if I'm the first person to tell you this, then you've been, you need to have a meds adjustment or something along those lines, because it's like, there's nothing, no one's perfect. Nothing's perfect in this world, not even top 10 worst of lists. We're as close to perfection as conceivably possible in these flawed and difficult endeavors that become part of life in the big city. But I gotta tell you something. You know what? Nobody is gonna be. Thinking this is all an act of becoming. We're all in an endless march forward towards bettering ourselves on an ongoing basis. And those who, like a shark swimming forward, if you stop swimming forward, then you suffocate. I don't know how you suffocate underwater, but that's what I was told. And they said they're suffocating underwater. I'm like, are you nuts? Are you out of your freaking mind? No, seriously, they're suffocating underwater for fish. And I'm like, well, no wonder some of them crawled out onto the terra firmas back in the Mesozoic ages and such. What is with my freaking hair today, man? It's all poofy. Just a minute before we roll tape. Roll tape. I'll give you a roll of tape. I'll give you a roll. Roll in the hay. Ew. Beef, Mr. Beef, Charlie Beefcake. Oh, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Harry. Harry Palms. I'm sorry I amuse myself so much, but I just, goddamn it. So much harshness in the world. There's so much. It's 80 degrees in here. The humidity is like it's making a thick sauce underneath my abdominal flap. I think it's almost getting like the consistency of a thick gravy. Instead of wearing underwear, I'm wearing a gravy boat. Anywho, the other thing I wanted to tell you is that some of these things, it's as accurate as possible. Okay. Accurate as possible. Some of these things are going to be like, flying by the seat of my pants, and my pants are enormous. So I can actually probably fly by the seat of my pants and just like sort of I've got a lot of problems. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So, if you're feeling insecure about the veracity of my assertions, I would suggest you fact check it yourself, you big lummox. I mean, really, what the hell you think you're doing just kind of skating through life anyway? I don't see you doing a top 10 worst of list about fuzzball, fatty old men with inferiority complexes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, the other thing, I'm not a partisan hack. I'm not out. This is not a political diatribe. It's not intended to be. This is just all about, interpersonal things in the world. And it's kind of taking a snapshot, helicopter view of what's going on in the world and try to make some sense out of it. We can talk about, how much we want to hate on others and kill everybody and make sure that their life isn't everybody feels like life isn't worth living anymore. We can get to that later. But first, we need to take care of just sort of identifying. It's like we're going to see a lineup and we're figuring out who's responsible for all the gun violence and not, curbing any of the gun restrictions, in the legal circles. And they put up a bunch of people in the police lineup. And you're like, number one, you get the gun manufacturers. Number two, you get the military industrial complex. Number three, you got, Duck Dynasty people. Number four, you've got more of the Duck Dynasty people. There's a lot of them. And then number five, you've got, I don't know, the militia groups and such. I've got a thing there, don't I? What the hell's going on there? There's something. Hang on a second. Sorry about that. At a makeup emergency. You know what it's like, girls, don't you? Huh? All right, so anyway, I'm not going to try to, plant little seeds, crawl underneath the fences that you've erected to try to prevent people from touching your sacred brains, your inviolate, precious brains that, are so delicate and so easy to influence. So you gotta, shut everybody out and shut everybody down that goes against your programming. And we're all programmed. You know this, right? Okay. So, I'm not doing it. I'm just going to tell, I can see it. I enjoy ripping on everything. Everything's so, ripe for satire. So, here we go. Are you ready for the day's list? Top 10 words of... Oh, I'm sorry. There's one more thing that we've got to do. It's, an unfortunate and painful element of top 10 worst of lists and pretty much like anything in creative circles. And it's commercials. Sorry, but, we got to pay the bills here. Top 10 worst of list, and we wouldn't be able to survive without a massive production. Got 165 people on payroll. Here, top 10 worst of lists. The finest and top 10 worst of lists in the entirety of top 10 worst of lists. Voted 3 times in a row for the Triple Sapphire Award for excellence in top 10 worst of list presentation. We're not fooling around here. All right, so coming up on the next must-see Thursdays on ESPN4, the Quattro. It's from the producers of the Family Feud. It comes the Addams Family Feud, featuring all kinds of monsters and creepy little corrales and whatnot and everything like that. It's just incredibly intense and intellectually driven gaming for that's fun for the whole family. The Manson family. It's the Addams Family Feud. And it's, coming up also, right immediately following the Addams Family Feud comes the new adventures of Unibrow. The brother with the unibrow gets unibrow. Can I say brother without being pedantic or whatever? I don't mean to be. I'm sorry if I offend. But anyway, unibrow. It's a black guy with a unibrow, superhero guy. And it's also coming from the as long as we're getting into trouble, potentially with misunderstood satire, driven along racial lines, from the producers of the movie The Creature from the Black Lagoon. Now comes the Black from the Creature Lagoon. I don't know why. Now, how about this one? Let's change that one to The Teacher from the Black Lagoon, who's like a teacher, teaches, there's a small school, K through 12 school, Black Lagoon adjacent. Who teaches? It's a story of the teacher. And they're kind of scary. I don't know, whatever. And here's the references up for this particular reference. Is up for a Daytime Emmy for most obscure reference in the history of the blogosphere or whatever. It's the continuing saga of former Speed Racer foes. So enemies of Speed Racer are updated in this new series with the first few episodes alone calling from the Car Acrobatic Team and the Chocolate Factory. It's a good one. That's worth watching. I'm telling you this, and you hear me later. I'm telling you this, and you'll hear me later. Also, the Car Acrobatic Team in Wonderland. Something, for some reason, the Car Acrobatic Team got mail, and the dude, where's my Car Acrobatic Team? It's the new continuing saga of former Speed Racer versus Car Acrobatic Team month. On the, I don't even know what to call. Let's call it the WB. Is WB still there? Well, they'll bring it back for this series. This is something special here. And finally, we have the takeoff from the producers who brought you The Hobbit, now bring you The Bobbit, with the magical penis of power and the Lord of the Swings, and the chopping and the throwing and the penis and the whoo, that's something. Whoo. I don't know. That one kind of fell flat, don't you think? I mean, that one wasn't exactly like the one to go out on. From the producers of the Count of Monte Cristo, now comes the Count of Full Monte Cristo. So it's the regular Count of Monte Cristo, but all naked. The Count of Full Monte Cristo. Woo, that's funny how he can't get the stuff right. Now let's get on with it, shall we? That didn't work out exactly the way I might have liked, but here we go with the top 10 worst of the meat and potatoes, the heart of the matter. Really, the reason for the season. The top 10 worst product placement movies. Now, these are movies that either have an abundance of product placement within them, such as every Mike Myers movie in the history of everything. Or, I saw, what was that movie, Daddy's Home? I saw this movie, Daddy's Home, right? I had the misfortune to see this movie, I should say. And the very first scene, he shows up with I don't know, it's like some sort of, like a Chrysler or something like that. And he drives up and you see the nameplate of the Chrysler and it says Chrysler. And it's like, oh, that's a pretty nice Chrysler. And you're like just sitting there like going like, can I have my money back, please? I didn't realize that I was paying to see a commercial. What's the matter with these brain dead psychos that are making movies these days? These freaks, these maniacally obsessive pathogens. Can't we just kick their asses and make our own movies? Jesus Christ, you get some guy, give him $100,000, he'll make a great movie, it'll be watchable, totally semi-watchable. Maybe not quite so watchable. I mean, maybe it'll be pathetic, right? But you only spend $100,000 so you can make, compared to, I saw a movie that it cost them $600 million to make a movie. $600 million. Nobody on planet Earth deserves a movie that's made with $600 million. With all the need in the world, they need to spend $600 million to keep us occupied for an hour and a half? Are you freaking kidding me? What the hell is wrong with these freaking nut jobs? You know, I take a look in the mirror every day and I say to myself, you are a freaking nut job. You are, you know, like spinning out of control. You're absolutely lost your noodles. You're off your noodle. And so, I mean, but I see these people and I'm like, well, at least I'm not like spiteful about it. I mean, I'm off my noodle. I do what I do. I just hang out. You know, I'm like, you know, semi-retirement. I'm almost completely disabled, in pain all the time, and all kinds of nasty stuff has happened to me in the course of my life. But what do I do about it? I just sit around and talk trash about everything I've ever seen in my entire life. But that doesn't mean anything to anybody because I'm being, you know, sort of blacklisted from distribution. You know, like, oh, that net neutrality. Yeah, are we talking about, you know, like freedom of speech isn't worth, you know, the parchment that the Constitution, Bill of Rights is printed on. And we all know this. I'm not telling you anything that you don't know. You should be realizing that, and the only people that you know of or ever heard of or ever have any exposure to, pardon me, you know, I could give you a little exposure to something, but, you know, probably get me thrown off and disbarred from the legal profession. But I think that there's a lot of people who are just like sort of like not realizing that everything they see is through the prism of a sociopath. All these people who are in control of everything are sociopaths. You know, I took a walk into a yellow wood and to the fork of the road where they converged. I took the sociopath less traveled. Was that a Robert Frost reference? You know, can't possibly be. Oh yes, Master Yoda, I'm not scared of the cave. You will be. All right, so top 10 worst. So this is product placement, right? But it's not just like this little stupid stuff. Even your ideas of what product placement are all about are so, I don't know, so early 2000s. Really, you need to get with it. And that's what top 10 worst of list is here to do, to get you with it, to hip you to all the new modern day contrivances and platforms and developments in the world of social engineering. Because they've come a long way, baby. This isn't your grandma's social engineering anymore. So, but anyway, so there's like entire bodies of work that are just sort of sneaky product placement. In music, they've got it too. Music is, I mean, horrible now. You get like Bruno Mars, Versace on the floor. And I thought, you know, I remember listening to the radio, actually, when they were teasing out the song to be premiered. And they said, you tune in a few minutes when Bruno Mars is Versace on the floor. But first, this profound announcement from Remy Martin. And I'm like thinking like, wow, they're actually are they gonna confirm? Because I thought they were gonna talk about Gianni Versace, the founder of Versace Corporation or whatever the hell it is at this juncture, and how he got shot by a drifter who he's looking to, you know, knock boots with. And they found him dead on the floor. So I thought that's what Versace on the floor was going to be about. But no, he starts out the song. It's like, we threw our Versace clothes on the floor. It's just a cheap ass product placement thing for Versace clothing. And I'm like, listening to this going like the whole thing is an infomercial, a 3-minute long infomercial. Well, they do that with movies too. And we'll get into that right away. But, you know, first of all, I just wanted to, you know, sort of give you a sort of overview, the 360, a 360 degrees view with the widescreen perspectives. So number 10 of the worst product placement, top 10 worst product placement movies is Castaway. Castaway with the beloved America's Daddy, Tom Hanks, Tom Skanks, Tom No Thanks, who's got like a great track record of doing the biggest sellout pieces of crap ever. I mean, do I have it in here? I don't want to step on my no, I don't. But that creepy Christmas movie, The Polar Express, you ever seen that movie? Jesus Christ. If you haven't seen the movie, don't expose yourself to the movie. For God's sakes, don't show it to your kids. It's just this like sort of computer animation, like that stop motion motion capture, where they got like, and every character looks like it's about to eat a fetus. Like it's like stirring around like going, "You will have a Merry Christmas. Let me suck your placenta." And it's like, I'm not exaggerating. The characters in this movie, it's Robert Zemeckis. So they got all these people and they're just trying to get us to pay for this weaponizing of CGI technology. That's what a lot of these movies are. You could take, again, I mentioned before, a $600 million movie, and you could, if you wanted to do, instead just do $100,000 movie like they used to do, just tell a story or anything like that. I think Blair Witch Project cost about like $20,000 or something like that. Clerks cost $100,000. And they had other like big successes with like really cheap indie budget movies. Sideways was a great one. Paranormal Activity, never saw it, but I mean, how much could they have spent on that piece of garbage? $45 or something like that. Yeah, you can have some of the craft food trucks so long as it's just one of those 50-cent bags of chips. And it's, but the thing is, like, for $600 million, let me see if I can get this right, because usually I screw this up. For $600 million, that one movie that they made, if you get $100,000 movie, you get, like, 10 of them for $1 million. So you get 600 million of them. So you get 6,000 movies or something along those lines. I'm sorry, for some reason my brain doesn't function enough to do math skills and communication skills at the same time. It's so cold in here. All of a sudden, it's so hot. Are you hot? Do you smell burning toast? Yeah! Oh, false alarm. But so, like, you could make 6,000 movies for the amount that they spent on that one movie. If you were of a mind to just, like, go back to telling great stories and getting committed, trained actors and stuff and just make it about, like, great storytelling and compelling performances instead of about phony fantasy worlds and stuff. But they do it because the bulk of that money goes to technological firms that are also working on developing weaponized CGI technology for the military. And that's why they do so many movies like that. Pixar is in a sense an offshoot of like an affiliate of the military. But anyway, so I digress, because Tom Hanks is in the stupid Polar Express movie that's scary as hell. I don't know. I wouldn't show it. I seriously would not show that to a child. It's just cruel. And he does it again. I mean, Tom Cruise is just the biggest milquetoast sellout ever. Just really want to gut punch him, like sneak up behind him, sucker punch him from the side where you can't see it coming. That stupid wife of his. I'd actually like to see a battle royale, a cage match between that stupid wife of his and the stupid wife of RFK Jr.'s. The battle of the worthless, useless piles of animated flesh of older female wives characters from Bloated Productions, Rita Wilson and I forget what the other lady's name was, RFK's wife, Junior. Don't call me Junior. Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade reference there. Okay, so Castaway, I mean, like, look at Castaway. It's like an ongoing, nonstop, 2 hour long infomercial for Federal Express. Every single scene is either like Tom Hanks is, doing pep talks at Federal Express and stuff, or in the offices of Federal Express, or he's got, in the Castaway scenes, he's got, probably 50 different FedEx packages in every scene. Sitting in the background, he's got FedEx. Okay, we get it. Jesus Christ, I paid for the movie. If you're going to turn it into an infomercial, why don't you pay me to come and see it? You lousy game. Damn it. Stuff to rip all their hair out and show it to them and laugh. Wouldn't that be grand? So, I mean, and then, Wilson, obviously, the character Wilson, is, product placement for Wilson. And I just don't get how they can get away with calling this a movie. It's not. It's an extended commercial. It's an infomercial for these products. And they're horrible. And I watch this and I sit back and I'm like going like, oh my God. Because like everything in our society is like this. So I like me trying to make my way through, just like trying to have a couple hours off, to try to recharge the batteries for further and more exuberant, detail-oriented top 10 worst of lists that you've come to know and love. I mean, how am I supposed to supposed to rage like this 24/7? It can't be done. 23/6 maybe. 23/6 is doable. But you still have to have like sort of that release. Everybody needs it. Even people beyond the scope and purview of the top 10 worst of list community. And then we get this guy supposed to be, a super nice guy. Tom Hanks, a super nice guy, blah, blah, blah. Going like, I need to go to, thank God for my FedEx packages that washed up on shore while I'm here stranded on the island. Let me see how many of them I've got. 1 FedEx package, 2 FedEx packages, 3 FedEx packages. So, I don't know, but I bet a lot about you. A lot of you are probably thinking like, how dare he attack Captain Fantastic, a.k.a. Tom Hanks. Take it to the banks, Hanks. I dare. I tread where others few. Well, no, wait. How does that work? I go where others others choose to. I'm not. Oh, my clapper is muted. Forgot to get the WD-40. I tread where few fear to tread. Whatever, who cares? Number 9 of the top 10 worst product placement movies. We're really steamrolling through this list here. Half an hour just to get to number 9. Ponderous. Where was I? Number 9, The Internship, okay? Like, I remember, Internship is about, if those of you haven't seen it, don't bother, okay? 90-minute long infomercial for Google. Like Google needed more to expand its footprint in the commerce sector of our economy. Yeah, right. All right, so Google does this whole thing. It's got the guys from the Wedding Crashers, so they've got bankable stars with bankable chemistry. They don't need to come up with anything. Just, run the guys through the motion. It's Erica Badu, and Owen Wilson. Not Erica Badu. What the hell am I crazy? What? Erica Badu? No, the guy, Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson. Okay? I mean, come on. Keep up. So, they're selling watches, and the watch business is going down the tank, down the drain, in the tank, going in the drain, down the tank, and So they're kind of lost, and they're trying to figure out why they're sort of like always playing catch up with their careers and never really kind of connecting. And instead of like doing something rational or coming up with a business plan of their own or just being salesperson everywhere, because everybody needs good salespeople, they decide, oopsies, I got bad news for you. I'm still here. Ooh. They decide that they're gonna, at 70 years old or whatever they are at this point, they're gonna go serve an internship at Google because they have a bunch of teams going up against each other in the Google games or something stupid ass. And one team out of like 1,000 people or whatever get to hired at the end of the people who win the games get hired by Google's so they get a job. And I don't know, like the plot of the story is so contrived and ignorant, stupid, infantile even, that it's so implausible that you're already like looking at this thing going like, what is this stupid ass S word here that I just paid for? And you're watching it going like, oh, God, when is this ponderous world gonna finally get struck by a giant meteor? And the movie just plods on along and just does all this like indoctrination thing, like look how great it is to work at Google. Look at how smart we are and intelligent, but yet compassionate and emotional and totally like human beings, not like a bunch of cybernetic AI robots. We're totally not that type of We're not totally not cybernetic robots. Oh my. So it's like, okay, and you're in, and it just makes Google out to be like this super pleasant place and whatnot. Now, I remember when Google sort of like, I'm old enough to remember when all this stuff first came on the scene and such. And Google had to my recollection, had a slogan that went, "Don't be evil." And that was like a thing, a motto of theirs that they were, or a mission statement. I don't know. What am I supposed to know? You think I can get paid for these accuracies? I'm just recounting all the various different tales of my life and reflecting on the ups and down nature of life in the big city. Haven't I used the life in the big city reference from this episode? Wait a second. Hang on. It's time for me to introduce my co-host for today's show. Yes, that's right. The favorite part of the show for everybody is the ultra cheap / free sound effects console. Oh, I guess I was wrong. I did mention that reference before. Gosh darn it. So, I mean, do you remember, anybody out there remember that they had this mission statement, "Don't be evil"? Well, clearly Google doesn't remember either, because it's about as evil as anything can get. And they've got all these, like, Josh Gad is there. "I'm Josh Gad. Look at me being like totally like unrelatable. I'm totally relatable and like completely like sympathetic yet intelligent." Because like a lot of people hate intelligence now. I mean, people have been bred to poo-poo on people who are smart. For decades, actually. I mean, with the, pencil neck geeks and, insults like, "Look, he's a bookworm. Hey, look at the bookworm." And all kinds of different stuff. So, I mean, the bashing of intelligence has been an ongoing problem. Ignorance is bliss, and curiosity killed the cat. All that stuff, it's been infused intentionally into our culture at a lot of different levels and a lot of different forums and formats. And idioms forever. So the bashing of woke and the new, the portion of it that's dedicated to finding out the reality of our history as opposed to the fantasy of the myth that was created and force-fed to us, throughout, putting 20 servings of grain per day on the bottom of the food pyramid, or that George Washington could not tell a lie in the cherry tree story that actually was a lie that never actually happened. Stuff like that. Well, Google's 100% buying in with that whole ideology of, trying to, make sure that they try to make a little bit of brain power sympathetic, but at the same time, the chief villain of the antagonist in the movie is like a smarty pants from Yale or something stupid. But the movie goes on and on and on, and it's totally predictable and stuff like that. And it's basically an hour and a half-ish, hour 45 long infomercial for Google. And it's horrific. And these people need to be, the first up against the wall when the revolution comes. oh, so much. Pain is the cleanser. Pain is the cleanser. Sorry. I'm having a lot of... Oh, God. Oh, my... I can't even explain. It's not the pain so much as the watering of my eyes. Number 8 of the top 10 worst product placed movies. And this one I was a little, on the fence with. I wanted to find a better one to replace it. Jesus Christ. Replace... I got to take a break here. Sorry, I'll be right... Sorry about that. All right, so number 8 is Grease. Now, Grease is, it's a different sort of animal. This is a product placement where the product is brainwashing. What they're trying to sell us on is a romanticized version of the 1950s and making it just like Happy Days and the artificial repopularizing of the old Beach Boys, sort of surf music days stuff, and American Graffiti that happened in the 70s that all acted in consorts together, which was all a planned psyops project that was designed to whitewash our brains and get us to forget all the progress, civil rights, and culturally and ending segregation-wise that happened in the 60s and early 70s, to get us to forget all about that. Our happy days were like in suburban Milwaukee, where everybody was white, and that, there were no crimes because there were no people of color, and all these different things that they were intentionally infusing us with to set the table for the Reagan Revolution of the 80s. And they knew all of it was coming. They're going to turn everybody into yuppies, but first they need to get rid of all that, that garbage about, freedom of expression and countercultures and getting out from under the yoke of the plastic fantastic and all that type of stuff. And Grease was one of the... I could have American Graffiti probably would have been a better choice here, because American Graffiti shows all these, amazing actors, and it's got George Lucas on it. And it shows them just, driving hot rods up and down the road. Suzanne Summers is like super, hot blonde and stuff like that. And it's like all the surface-minded infantile trite garbage from the 50s is made to look like super heroic and cool and reminiscent of everything. Those days great. I miss the 50s. Why can't we have, instead of more 70s, can we have more 50s? Thank you. I'm better now. But you see what I mean? So Grease was just the next phase of trying to brainwash us into thinking how great our lives and society can be if we just forgot about all that nonsense of the civil rights era and went back to the way it was when it was a white-only culture. Suburban Milwaukee. Oh, thank God. All the problems and all the cities burning and riots and stuff and all the murders of all the lefties and just all that stuff was just like, kick it to the curb. Happy Days was like the aristocracy's designed social engineering to get us to truly believe whites-only suburbanite values were our happy days. And people slapped it up like kittens in a bowl of cream. Grease and Happy Days and American Graffiti and reviving all the old Beach Boys crap were the building blocks of the MAGA culture. All that stuff, you had to whitewash everything first. And you had to get rid of, Look, it's like this. Back in the 50s, they had I Love Lucy, which featured an interracial couple on TV. When was the next time that you saw an interracial couple starring in a TV series after that? 0 times. Okay? For like 1,000 years. And then they had like West Side Story, and they're doing West Side Story, which is the #1 album for like almost a year or something crazy like that, and the original Broadway soundtrack. And they have the song Officer Krupke, where they're talking about, pathology of psychosis and smoking weed and doing heroin, and their parents are shooting up heroin, and this is like the 1950s, right? And it's the most popular album, but it's not just for the sake of titillation. It's all actually really getting into the nuts and bolts of our societal problems. God damn it. Huh. Hang on. Shut up. Oh, man. Flaky skin. So, what was the next time you heard anything talking about that type of stuff in a major league, mainstream level distribution production? I mean, you had a few. You had Man with the Golden Arm. You had Valley of the Dolls. You had... But much after that, it becomes glamorizing. Like Trainspotting isn't about an anti-drug thing, even though the baby dies and stuff. And Trainspotting is trying to make drug use and dealing seem cool. Oh, God damn it! And it worked. It's worked. I mean, it's like drugstore cowboy trying to make drug use seem cool and stealing and everything like that, and make it seem cool. Not an anti-drug. God, Jesus Christ. I'm so tired of doing this goddamn... Just get with the picture already. Get with the program. Just sell out. Turn off. Just continue to fail to pay attention to any of the things that I gotta fix my hair. God, I hate you so much. I mean, it's not just that you're... the time that you take to do nothing and just try to escape from it all and try to follow through with the only thing that you want out of life is a temporary and ephemeral comfort while I pick my flaking skin off my face. It's not like you're just the only one who's being hurt by that. It's ponderous to live in a world where nobody gives a rat's ass about how badly they're being exploited and damaged. And, they push off all of the biggest, worst victims to the side so we never get to see them in the sweatshops and the Foxcons and everything like that. How many people have to die before you've got, you're satisfied with your life? For your goddamn precious phones and stuff like that. Your goddamn precious phones not only cost like $7,000 or whatever it is, but there's at least probably one person that's died to make every 10 phones, let's say. Dying at 10, 12 years old. Pakistani coal mines have 10 and 12-year-olds in their coal mines around the world. It's all... we're totally oblivious. And then, once in a while we'll hear like, oh God, a sweatshop collapsed and killing 175 people. And you're like, well, that's really, wow, we should do something about that. But I've got my playlist for the weekend all set. Have you seen The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt? All right, so, keep doing it. What you're doing is working just fine. Don't listen to people like me. We're just like an annoying little thorn in your side. And why won't you stop complaining about all the injustices in life that we're responsible for, ultimately, by our indifference and apathy? Oh, I need a sound effect. That's right. God damn it. Finally, some sympathy. Number 7, the dap tape. Where was I? Product placement movies. Fast and Furious. The entire series. You're like, oh, come on, buddy. What was that name again for today's? Harry Palms. Come on, Harry. Get off the schneid. Come on for the big win. Society is great. You're the ones with the problem. You get deeply flawed. You can see it just by looking at you, how flawed your personality is. The damaged goods is showing, it's glowing in your horrifically depressing visage. Where'd you get that shirt in like a garbage dumpster out behind the Marshalls? No, Fast and Furious is a big-time, huge product placement infomercial. Like the social engineering thing that I was talking about in Greece is there, where they're selling you social engineering with, promoting criminality, like, Dominic, whatever his name is all about family. Well, he's, he's not, it's about family and values. There's still criminals that are ripping off things and everything like that. So, like, now people are, like, looking at this stuff, like, going, like, you know what? I could really dig. I wish I was Dominic and whatever his name is. Yeah. And people are, like, watching this, like, going, like, that seems glamorous. It really does. And look at the diverse crew he's got. They're so diverse. I'd love to be on a diverse crew. I think I could be part of a diverse crew. I am from Macedonia. It's fairly dark complected, but that's part of it. That is a big, huge part of it. That's part of why and these people, when they come up with a movie plot, it's not like you would think in terms of like the creative process. They don't come up with some idea like going like, wow, people really dig seeing like a bunch of fast cars in a movie and criminals, international criminality and stuff like that, drug dealers, all kinds of cool stuff. No, they think, well, how do we need to brainwash society? What's on the checklist? And they'll get a checklist from PSYOP Central, which is located several levels underneath the sub-basement of the NSA. And they'll look on the top of the list for whatever is the brainwashing du jour, and they'll see like, oh, we need to influence people to be open to glamorized criminality, so that, it's basically like a recruitment film to get more people into gangs to steal cars. Because now they look at it and like think it's cool, and they see movies being done about it, so they think that, the culture thinks that it's cool. It's not cool. It's an intentional means of corrupting the rest of us by making these movies. But to maybe a little bit more relatable, especially after, that whole Grease spiel of having product placement being social engineering, it's also muscle cars, right? And you see like an endless stream of these like really tricked out cars and speedy vehicles and American metal and all kinds of, different tricked out cars. And so like it's an infomercial for the cars, for all these cars and things like that. It's like people are like, oh my God, like I got to get one of these Gran Torinos for myself, or whatever the hell they've got in the movies. An Eldorado, a Roadrunner, a Camaros and stuff. And it's what the movie is there to do. It's a 2 hour long infomercial, and there's like 10, 12 of them or something like that now. So it's 10 or 12 infomercials to shift a lot of units, to sell a lot of cars as well. Ooh. Number 6 of the top 10 worst product placement movies is the Lego movies, the whole lot of them. I mean, really, Lego prices, if you haven't checked, have gone from like you get a nice box of like 300 Legos back in the day. And again, this is the day, so, money was worth some inflation and stuff adjustment needs to be contended with. But I mean, you can get them for like $5. I mean, it's just like a bunch of pieces of plastic, in a box. Now, like there's like $400, $600 Lego playsets, like advanced, stuff that have specific elements from Lego movies. I did a whole top 10 worst of list of the top 10 worst Lego playsets that were released in conjunction with their appearance in the Lego Movie 2. I had a whole top 10 of them. Some of them are like, the average ones are, 50 now, 40 to 50 for tiny little ones. You're talking about like a real piece of, Lego stuff. It's 130 easily. And the bigger ones, like I said, it's, sky's the limit. And so they have these movies now, and their entire movie is Lego. So it's like, it's, cool contrivance and stuff like that. But who the hell, is like paying for us to see a movie that's advertising a bunch of Lego playsets? Ultimately, you pick a bunch of talented voiceover people and a few musicians to, help promote it and add a little, tanginess overall to the whole production. But it's really just like an infomercial for Legos. And the raft of, and we'll talk about this in a couple of slots here coming up, about the sick-minded people and what they're doing to our brains. I mean, we see it in the collapse of commercially based television, that these advertising maniacs needed to go somewhere to hang on to their stupid, worthless jobs. And what they did was they turned movies into infomercials. So, while we had to put up with 2 to 3 minute long commercial breaks interspersed seemingly every 5 minutes in television shows that we watch, now the streaming services are offering a lot of people a way of getting out of that. They had a lot of ground to make up, because they can't take their foot off the accelerator when it comes to brainwashing us into being materialistic pigs. In fact, we're rapidly becoming a society of materialistic pigs, where we're just nothing more than a giant, shopping mall. China is clearly whipping our asses in terms of everything intellectual, in terms of developing ideas and technology and everything like that. If you look at the number of physicists and geologists and stuff that they're graduating, it's 1,000 to 1 in their sciences and technology advances. They've got a $8,000 electrical vehicle car that they can sell. Our car average price for a new car is like $50,000. Try to go buy a Tesla. If you think of, the American technology and intellects are, keeping up with the Joneses, and it's just not happening. I mean, it's delusional. And we're going to be kissing the rings any second now. Any second. We might already be kissing the rings now. I wouldn't be surprised. Anyway, so the Lego movies, garbage. Number 5 of the top 10 worst production placement in movies is in part sponsored by, you see how you like how I did that? From the people who brought you the creature, the teacher from the creature, the teacher from the Black Lagoon, Now comes the creature from the Black Lagoon for vegetarians. And it's also in part sponsored by the day the Earth stood still. Yeah, I can't read this anymore. I'm so tired. It's so hot in here. Look at my hair. My hair's doing the hair version of flop sweat. It was so bouncy and supplicant in the early stages of this episode. And Family Feudal from people who brought you Family Feud. Now that we're all ready to be treated by serfs, like the AI robots have become it's Family Feudal. Get on with it. Okay, get over it. It's going to be feudalism with the Dark Enlightenment people. Those guys, the JD Vance and stuff. JD Advance. Number 5 of the top 10 worst product placements of movies. Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. Now, those guys seem cool. I like that movie. I enjoyed it. But it's a 90-minute infomercial for White Castle. And it's weird because it's like it's totally a different demographic profile that they're appealing to than in the other movies on this list. I mean, they're going after the stoners and stuff like that. I guess they figure that people are smoking so much goddamn dope that they won't know the difference between a movie and an infomercial. But these guys, the entire reason for the season of this stupid-ass movie is to get the White Castle. And they're like, I can't live without White Castle now. And it becomes a compulsion with them. They're going absolutely out of their minds. They're frothing at the mouth. They're flying off of cliffs on a hang glider so that they can get to White Castle. Who in real life have you ever seen fly off a goddamn cliff, a giant cliff, so that you can get on a hang glider that you've never flown before in your life? You're so desperate. The need for White Castle is so compulsive, and you can't resist that you have to get the freaking White Castle down your freaking greedy throat. But sure, I'll risk my life for it. Goddamn right. Where do I sign up? Number 4 of the top 10 worst production place movies is Air. Air's one of my biggest of the all-time worst hateful pieces of propaganda ever. It's the premise of this is to make the Nike head of Nike seem like a freaking superhero, like it was like an innovative genius and stuff like that. He's like, I've revolutionized the. Is it the clothing industry or the shoe industry, or is it the billboard industry? I think it's the billboard industry. I think he revolutionized the shoe industry. Converse All-Stars really kind of around, had the label on it and stuff like that, made that sort of popularized, to a certain degree. Actually a fairly decent degree in the 70s prior to these robber baron scumbags from Nike coming on the scene. But I think that he revolutionized the billboard industry because he took the billboards off of these giant, unapproachable signs on the sides of highways, freeways, and toll roads, and turned it into, put it on a human body. So that he turned human bodies into billboards, with us wearing his logos and advertising his logos and everything like that. And do we get paid for being a walking billboard for them? Do they pay for real billboards that are sitting up there on the highway? Yeah, they do. Do they pay for human beings to be billboards? No, they don't. In fact, they charge a premium for the privilege of being a billboard, advertising billboard for them. And we're like, where do I sign up? Delicious. But Air goes on about these, psychopaths, pure psychopaths at Nike. And Air Jordan, who is a pathological psychopath, along with the rest of them. Here's a guy who's the greatest athlete in the world, clearly, and works his ass off. So he deserves, accolades in our culture. And, he deserves to get paid. Right? But come on. There's never been a commercial endorsement that Air Jordan didn't get down on his knees and do a double knee kowtow while he slurps it dry. Slurping it dry, Air Jordan. And I have zero respect for Air Jordan. And I'm a Chicago guy. And I watched all those freaking championship games, stuff like that all the time. I ate it up. And then I had an epiphanies. And I realized that, I mean, it wasn't hard to see back in the day because Jordan was on every goddamn commercial he could get. McDonald's and blah, blah, blahs. Hanes underwear. What's a basketball player doing advertising food that will clog your arteries full of grease and give you a heart attack 10 years before the average lifespan? And underwear. It just doesn't, I mean, the guy's just so greedy. And what's up with that 2 years off that he took in between the triple championship runs? What, I mean, there's no way that he wanted to play baseball. It's just like sort of like, oh, okay, well, I got to come up with something to save face. There's clearly something that was right around the time that his dad died in some mysterious, weird incident on a highway rest stop or some crazy. It's absolutely nuts. And there's something they are telling us to protect his legend and stuff and keep his commercial ad buy price ask very high. But screw all those people, man. Every single one of them, including Jordan, the horse that he rode in on. The horse, what was that guy? Horse Grant. The horse Grant he rode in on. Michael Jordan. God damn, it's so much pain. Woo! Woo! Hey! Wow. There's psychotic levels of pain. All right, so anyway, number 3, and this is your future. Now, and we're talking about video games, and Minecraft is number 3, which is the opposite of Mindcraft, which they got, and this is it's sort of like a weird little game that they're playing. They got an indie darling by the name of Jared Hess, is the guy who directed Napoleon's Dynamite and others that are real quirky and lo-fi and have like all kinds of lingo and lexicons and stuff that are internal to the movie that are, funny little in-joke. So all kinds of like, it's like the 180 exact opposite of like a Michael Bay type of director. And, now as they're migrating us to these off of commercial television and onto commercially based infomercials disguised as movies, they're cushioning the blow and providing a smokescreen by using indie directors to kind of give it that quirk feel. And Jack Black comes in and it's like, super over the top Jack Black version comes in and just kind of, I don't know, bullies his way through the material. Obviously these guys are trying their very best to provide some window dressing to this massive new shift of indoctrinational platform shift from away from commercial television into these infomercial movies. And Minecraft is one. It does nothing, sits there, just does. It's not really fun. It's not funny. It's just a bunch of sad, pathetic actors phoning it in and a ton of CGI. And it's stuff we've seen before. Every character is, by the book. And Jared Hess will throw in a couple of twists and stuff like that are kind of, like, oh, you're thinking like, oh, well, this is a movie, yeah. It just kind of keeps you distracted from the fact that you're watching an infomercial, just enough, so that you think that they are getting away with it. Because the next one, number 2 on my list, is Barbie, and again, I put these two together on the list because I wanted to point out I freaking forgot that Greta Gerwig is another indie darling director, and her husband, Ross Pinkerton. What's that guy's name? Tom Scholes, the guy from Boston, the band Boston. So the guy's name. He does the thing with Ben Affleck, not Ben Affleck, the other Ben Stiller. All the time. That Finkelman Ross Borscht Belt. I'll look it up while I'm talking. I think I can pull this one off. It shouldn't be too hard. But, so they've got these indie darlings who are doing these movies, and all of a sudden it's just like, you get a sense that they're doing something to us, and they're using these indie types to cover their tracks. And I don't like it. And it's clearly, because this is a fundamental shift in the way that we're brainwashed in our society. It's the first, Noah Baumbach, that's the guy. It's the first time in a long time that there's been such a titanic shift in the way we get brainwashed. And so, Mattel, the Barbie manufacturer, has got it's like 20 something different movies currently in production of various different products, like Hot Wheels and, and then you got all kinds of different stuff that's going on. So while they're shifting it, they're using these independent directors to give enough of a organic little, spice it up with a little organic vibe here and there. And it does, it especially with Greta Gerwig, because there was so much riding on this movie, and she got as much ink as anybody else, and everybody knows that Frances Ha and whatever else the hell stupid as Noah Baumbach's doing all these quirky films and whatnot, her husband and or partner, I don't know if they're married or not, but and it worked like a charm. Because nobody would think that Greta Gerwig would do this if there was any sort of hint or whiff of compromise of the human spirit. Oh no, not Greta Gerwig. Not Jared Hess, not Noah Baumbach. And that's why they got the gig instead of Michael Bay or any of these other sellout jerk-offs, Steven Spielberg types, white power proselytizers. Proselytizers, what? I'm impressed. All right, number one of the top 10 worst, thank God, it's finally made it to number one, top 10 worst product placement movies in history. You've Got Mail. Yeah. Still the undefeated champion. Tom Hanks bookends my list with Castaway in the number 10 slot, and You've Got Mail. You've Got Mail is so toxic in so many different ways, but it's clearly a 2-hour-long infomercial for AOL, which at the time of its release was the largest internet provider in the country, and their sign-in line of the noise that you would hear as you're signing into their voicemail was if you've got incoming voicemail, would be "You've Got Mail," and so that's what the title of the movie was. And you hear that phrase, the exact one, a sample of it, playing throughout the movie. I don't know, probably half a dozen times. I'm not sure exactly, but they're chatting on AOL and stuff. So it's splattered all throughout the movie. But then you also get another sort of angle where they're I don't know if they're doubling their bets or whatever, but they do this thing where Tom Hanks is owner of he's a Nepo baby who's the owner of a giant box store book chain. And Meg Ryan, of course, pre the Joker plastic surgery look, Meg Ryan. So, and so they got this adversarial relationship because she's got a tiny little family run bookstore that's been, in the family for generations. That's, helping people find the right books and talking to them about authors and all kinds of, that stuff that you get, the personal touch that you get in smaller places. And especially like bookstores, which that part is like really essential for a lot of readers, and fun. But Tom Hanks moves his giant bookstore around the corner, and I think her store is called Around the Corner. But anyway, and puts her out of business. And there's this big, conflict between which is better, box stores where you can sit down and have a coffee while you peruse a book, or having some little tiny little slice of humanity left in literature. And the movie chooses box stores. Like, who needs the human touch when you've got coffee and soft chairs to peruse books with at your box store? And it goes on, and there's a little bit of conflict, but then Meg Ryan's like, you know what? I'm wrong. I'm going to give up. And she gives up. It makes it, and they make it look like Tom Hanks is heroic. They really pour it on heavy when it comes to like lauding the box store annihilation of small businesses and creativity and stuff like that. It's just embarrassing, and yet there it is. And then Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan kind of start and that's your story. That's your movie. And then they also throw in a nice, real sort of token, abusively characterized a black character in the movie who's played by Dave Chappelle. And he's just like made to look like a joke, a complete infantile clown. And it's just really, really, really sad. I mean, it's not quite as bad as how Chappelle was portrayed in Nutty Professor, but it's in that league. And maybe it's even a little worse because it's not obviously intended to be cartoonish like the character in the Nutty Professor was. This one's a little more insidious. But anyway, that's all the time we've got for Top 10 Worst. Oh, wait, no, I've got an extra credit. Now, this is not a movie infomercial. This is something we're talking about, product placement and stuff like that. I just couldn't resist. This is the goddamn logo for the frickin' Washington Nationals baseball team. This team is based in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., for God's sakes. And their damn logo is the Walgreens logo. And the W for Washington Nationals on their uniforms, on the mound, on the field, all over the place, on their merch, is the W from Walgreens. So the actual logo of the team is a product placement. And I'm like thinking wow, this is so perfect, so emblematic of our country that a team would have a corporate logo as their own logo, as a product placement ploy for who knows how many millions and hundreds of millions of dollars that the team owners have socked away for this national embarrassment. And it's the capital of the frickin' United States. Could you make it any more obvious of what the United States is really all about? No wonder this place is so full of so many lunatics. They never stop at the building, not for one goddamn second, I'm telling you. Pissing me right off. Anyway, that's all the time we've got for, wow, this is a big long one for today. I apologize for my long-windedness, but I have a lot of very, profound feelings about the subject. Anyway, tune in tomorrow for a new Top 10 Worst of list if I live long enough to be able to put it together. Top 10 Worst Times to mistake a beef jerky for an anal thermometer. It's been a real pleasure. And don't forget, we've got a charity event that's coming up. I really want to tell you